So I figured to take a look at the evolution of the old line Marchants. So actually kind of hard to get all of these in frame, but so starting at the left, we have the early hand craned keyboard model. I'm not sure if that's a KA or not. It doesn't actually have a model number on it, but we'll take a look at that. And next to that we have the EA, then the EB, then the EE, and then the EEG at the very right. So yeah, there's been a lot of videos on, different versions of these, but I think I've seen one that has, all of them together. So take a look at each of these individually and sort of show the progress of the evolution, as it went through time. And yes, I'm doing this video on the floor because between all of these, there's about 250 pounds of calculator here, so don't want it to collapse if I put it on anything. But let's get started. So we'll start out with the hand cranked model. This is a little bit of an early hand cranked model because if you look up here, it actually has a piece of glass for the window, which is held on by 2 screws there. As we've seen the other ones, they quickly changed over to plastic, but this particular one has a piece of glass, which is, I don't think I've seen that before, but let's clear it out. Yeah, so basically works, very similar to any other, like a Monroe or any other keyboard calculator of the time. You have your keyboard here, so you have repeat or non-repeat. You have clear, so we'll put something in here. Clear clears it out. It does have a quick tabulator on the front. And there is a button on the side, this little button here, that you can push that in and then drag the carriage anywhere you want. I just can't do it with one hand, more than I can with the other hand. So, but there is that option if you just want to, quickly tabulate it out. Interesting thing about Marchants is the counter is stationary, and you notice it has this little pointer here that points to the digit in the counter. And as I move the carriage, you'll see that pointer moves along with it. So the carriage and the pointer move in opposite directions. As this lines up with digit 1, this pointer lines up with digit 1 in the counter. And then as this carriage moves this way to line up with digit 2, this pointer has to move this way to line up with digit 2. So, there's a rack and a reversing gear in there that handles that. But anyway, so if you want to add something in, we'll put it in position 0 like we have it. Do 1, 2, 3. Like a pinwheel machine, you have to pull out the handle and then turn it. You'll see it adds it in, goes up in the counter, increased by 1. Cleared the keyboard because I have it in plus mode. Enter another number. Oops. And then you see you got our total. Got a counter increased by 6. If you want to subtract, basically you just enter your number and then just turn the handle backwards. We'll subtract. This clears out the counter, and this clears out the accumulator. For multiplication, it's basically just repeated additions, so we can tabulate out 2 places. We'll do 625 and multiply by 625. Oh, by the way, I'm not sure if you can tell, but this window here actually shows the keyboard entry. So if I clear the keyboard, that resets, and if I enter a number, yeah, that will show my entry up there. It's kind of weird that, basically this is a holdover from the pinwheel machines like the XL that this was designed off of. But yeah, usually on machines that have a keyboard display, it's down in front of the keyboard, but not on these machines. So anyway, put it in multiplication mode. Got 625, so we're in position 3. We want to end up with a 6 there. Then we can tabulate. 1 and 2 here. Tabulate. And 1 and 5 there. So there you go. 625 times 625 is 390,625. We can tabulate back home again. We already are back home. Clear this out. Clear this out. And then for division, kind of the same idea. We'll tabulate all the way over. can do 355. Enter that in. Clear out the counter. 113. And then, you know, same sort of idea as a regular machine. You'll just turn the, this has moved a little bit. You'll just turn the crank backwards until you get an underflow. Which we have there. I guess this machine doesn't have a bell. Didn't remember if it had one or not. I guess it doesn't have one. But because there is, oops, I already messed up. I have to start over again. Forgot to change my counter direction. That's not going to work. So we'll try this again. We'll do 355. Enter that in. Change the counter direction this time. Clear out the counter. And then now we will subtract until we get a underflow. Oops. I don't know if I put the right number in. This is going smoothly. 355, 113. There we go. Now we can subtract. So that would be our underflow. Now because there is tens carry on the counter, what we can do shortcut division. So we'll tabulate one place, and now we'll add till we restore it. I think I'm doing something wrong here. Hold on. I think I might have been subtracting instead of adding that time. So let's try again. 355. Add in. Clear this. 113. And now we subtract repeatedly. We have our underflow. So we shift. Now we want to add. Now we've restored our underflow. So we shift again, now we subtract. Underflow. Now we want to add. Restored it. Subtract. Oops, too far. Oops, too far again. I know there was something wrong here. Let's try it again. Okay, yeah, there we go. I think it was adding instead of subtracting again. But you get the idea. So 335 divided by 113 is 3.141592. So because this has tens carry on the counter, you can do that sort of shortcut division. Or at least you can if you know how to do it, which apparently I don't. The counter is not clearing. There we go. So yeah, unfortunately that's one of the main problems with these machines. The counter carry drum has pot metal discs in it that like to swell up and basically jams the whole machine. That's commonly an issue with these types of machines. But anyway, so that is the early hand cranked keyboard model with its nice little tabulator. So yeah, I'll move on next to the model EA here. This is motor driven, and it has this nice multiplier here. So these early ones do not have start-stop motors. So the motor runs all the time, which is why I'm talking before turning it on, because it's quite loud. As soon as I turn this on, the motor will run, and the motor stays running. And then every time you do an operation, it just engages a clutch, which connects the machine to the motor and drives it, and then releases at the end of the cycle, and then the motor stays running. Other than that, pretty similar. It's got the crank for the carriage clearing, the crank for the counter clearing. It does have the same little button over there, right there. You can push that little button right there, and that releases the carriage, so you can drag it with this little knob, which you have to be very careful of, because it's very easy to pinch your finger between this knob and this casting here when you're moving it. But anyway, so I'll turn it on. And we'll do, doing the regular addition, push this down for add, this stays down. total there. Subtraction is basically the same idea. You just enter a number and then hit the minus button. We'll subtract. And clear out like that. And like this. Now it does have the same tabulator, so if you want to do a multiplication, we can tab out 2 places. It's a little bit stiff on this one. Enter our number, 625. And then we use this multiplier bar over here, so we want a 6 in this place. Manual tab still, 2. And then 5. And, whoops. We'll have to take this out of add mode, so that didn't work. Try it one more time here. Helps if you know how to use the machine. Go to add mode, 625. There we go, 30625. So there it has the same keyboard display up there. It's a little bit hard to see because it's not as bright probably as it should be for making this video. And these have a white on black keyboard display. So for division on this machine is you actually have to really pay attention because it doesn't stop when you underflow or overflows either way. So you really have to watch what you're doing. Well, shift over. I want to do 355. 113. Change our counter direction without the counter. And then we want to subtract until we get an underflow, where we have to watch because the machine's not going to stop. So we got one there. I stopped it. Want to add now. Oops, there we went too far. I think that should be right. We want to subtract now. You see, that doesn't stop. It just keeps going. So you have to pay attention. I should have restored more. Yeah. Really have to pay attention to what you're doing here. Yeah, see, because if you go too far, then shift it, then you really have to keep going until it catches up. Oops. Got really fast that time. And there we go, 3.1415992. So let me turn this off. That humming sound, this case is rattling pretty bad. That's why it buzzes like that. It's kind of annoying, but yeah. Anyway, so that's the Marchant EA. Division is not so convenient on this one, but it is possible. We'll next move over to the model EB. And this one introduced stop division, which makes division much more nice to do. And also, this particular one has a start-stop motor. When the EV first came out, it did not have a start-stop motor, but they added that on later as time went on. I think the first year or two was just like the EA, where it's always running. And then after that, they switched to start-stop motor. So this one has a start-stop motor. Other than that, the operation for multiplication and addition and subtraction is basically the same. Just enter your number, and then when you push the button, it will start the motor and engage the clutch. To be in add mode. You can see we got our total there. Oops, my counter was in the wrong direction, but that's okay. If you want to subtract, same idea. You have to do a number, hit the minus button, or subtract. This machine has the convenience of power clear as well. So this button clears the counter, and this one clears the accumulator. Still has the manual tab level on the front. So for multiplication, we'll tab out. We'll do 625. Take it out of add mode, and then we're in multiplication up there. So 6. Oops, where it should have been. Apparently subtracted for some reason. Let's try that again. So inside the machine, there's a toggle thing for addition and subtraction, and apparently, if you did a subtraction last, these buttons don't switch back, I guess. Just noticed that. But anyway, so let's try that again. I did an addition, and now when I do this, it will add instead of subtract. There we go. There we go. 625 times 625 is 290,625. And you can kind of see these have a white with black, like black on white lettering for the keyboard dials versus the white on black of the EA. So it's just a little bit easier to read. And as you can see, this has that plastic window I was talking about that's held in from the back versus the glass window on that early hand cranked one. So we can clear this out. Of course, this button clears the keyboard. This is the multiplication stop button. You can see that that's missing on the EA. The key stem is there, but the button is missing. I don't know why this has a red 1 button. It should just be a red button. But anyway, for division on this one, which is sort of the advanced feature here, tab all the way out. And again, this has that same button for carriage release here. I can't do it with one hand holding the camera. So we'll do 355. Pull out the counter. Set this to that's your counter direction switch. Okay, so I didn't mention that. This determines whether the counter counts up for additions and down for subtractions, or this way it counts up for subtractions and down for additions. So anyway, have to switch that to that way for division. 113. And now the machine will stop automatically when there's an underflow or an overflow. So all we have to do is wait till it stops and then shift. Wait till it stops and then shift. At the end, we have to add one back, just because there's no more shifting to do, so we can't, restore it in the next column. But there we go, 3.14159292. So we'll clear that out, clear out the keyboard, and that pretty much sums up the Marchant EB. Pretty similar to the A, just with the stop division. So next we'll move on to the model EE. This one has fully automatic division. So we can start with addition subtraction, and it will basically be the same. Just and again for subtraction, just minus it. Let's see what this one does. If I now do a multiplication, we'll shift out. We'll take this out of add. 25. So that one switched back to adding automatically. So, maybe there's something wrong with my EB though. I have to check that out. There you go. 625 times 625 is 290,625. Another thing that this has is this quick tab over here. So you just have to pinch this and then you can drag it, which is easier to do one-handed. But it does still have this tabulator in the front here. So for division, we will enter our number, clear out the counter, to our second number, and then we have to switch this again, the counter direction, and that counter direction actually controls the automatic division. If you don't switch the counter direction, it will not shift the carriage in automatic division. And oops, I still have 625 in there. This was still on the keyboard. Let's try again. 55. Now we should be good to go. So as I was saying, if you don't switch this, it will subtract, restore the overflow, but then it won't shift the carriage. You have to have this up in the division mode there, or the subtraction counting mode there, to have the automatic division work properly. So to start automatic division, now that I have it set up, all I have to do is pull this handle. You can see it manually, or I shouldn't say manually, it automatically pushes this handle over to shift it. So you make sure your fingers aren't near that when it's doing that. Yeah, so you go 3.141059292. That pretty much sums up the Marchant EB. So next we'll move on to the Marchant EEG. And this has a couple advanced features over the EE. One being power carriage tabulation. So if I turn this on, I can power tab the carriage like that. And it also has automatic shift in multiplication. So if you start out with addition, it's the same as the others. You get your accumulator there, your keyboard dial up there, and your counter there. It has the same power clear as the EE. So for multiplication, now what you can do is we'll move out 2 places. 625 on the keyboard, take it out of add mode, and then this little lever here determines your shift direction. It's kind of dark, but you can see it down there. So we put it that way, it will shift this pointer that way, which means that this carriage will shift that way. Just kind of have to get that straight. Same thing with this. These arrows determine the direction of this pointer, not the direction of the actual carriage. So kind of have to get used to that. But anyway, so if I push this arrow, this will shift that way, but the carriage shifts that way. So just gonna have to get used to that. Anyway, so we've got 625. We're in position 3. We can now do 6. You see the carriage shifted each time automatically, so there is no flappy tab on the front here. It does that automatically. So we can clear it out. We can shift out for division with the quick tab, one-handed quick tab. Do 355. And you notice that this one has a slot in the case for the counter direction change, but there's no actual lever there. The machine determines that automatically for you, so you can't control that on this machine. Yeah, as soon as you pull the lever, it will automatically change the counter direction. So got it set up, our counter is cleared. All I have to do is pull the handle. And then automatic division. So I can see again 3.141 from 1992. Clear that out. Yeah, so let's take a look at again, these are all in sequence. Let's see if I can find, I think I have a page somewhere that has the dates of release of each of these. But you kind of get the idea of the evolution. I went from the hand crank model then to the EA with the automatic multiplier, and then the EB with the stop division, the EEG or the EE with the automatic division, and then the EEG with the creature comforts of automatic shift after multiplication and the automatic carriage movement and stuff like that. We'll see how this works. I'm just showing my screen here. I have this pulled up. So this is the automatic models, EA, starting with the EA, and then the ER, which is similar, but like that has the stop division, and the EA does not. EB, ERB, EC. The other ones here like the EC, ED, and the ERB. I'm not sure how many of those they actually make because you don't really see those. ES, I think, is the same as the EA, but without the multiplier. Then the EE, EER, AG, again, don't really see that. And then the EEG, EBG, and ERG. Again, these EBG and ERG, not really sure what those are, but it's also had duplex calculators, which are basically the same as the other model, except they have a double accumulator. So I was going to find a picture of that. But yeah, so I can see the EA came out in 1923, the EB in 1926, the EE in 1928, and the EEG in 1929. So you kind of got the timeline there, evolution of that. And then this table also has the, what features each model has. So the semi-automatic multiplication, that's where it has that multiplier keyboard, but then it does not shift. So you can see the AG, EEG, and EBG are the only ones that have that automatic shifting after multiplication. And then same thing for the division. Semi-automatic division is just the stop division, and then full auto, is what the EE and the EEG has, where it will do the automatic division. So take a look at this page here. So again, this has the XLA, which is, the lever set one, Model H, which is the hand cranked one, XLB, which is also a lever set one, what looks to be sort of a slimmed down version of the XLA. I'm not sure how many they made of these. I've never actually seen one in person, or like even a picture of an actual one. Then we got the EA, which we saw demonstrated. EB, which they call the super automatic. The ER, which is called the electric calculator. So that seems to be basically an EA, but without the multiplier. And it has a single crank for register clearing versus the 2 cranks of the EA. And then the ERB looks like it's basically the same as the EB, but without the multiplier again. And we're on to the EE, which they call the automatic electric calculator. The EER, which they call the semi-automatic electric calculator. So it looks like that one has automatic division, but does not have the multiplier keyboard. The ERG, which looks to be the same as the EEG, but again without the multiplier keyboard. And then of course the EEG, which they call the 100% electric calculator. And then these are the duplex ones, so DEG and DRB. So a DEG looks like it'll be the same as the EEG, except that it has this special double accumulator there. But otherwise than that, I think it's basically the same. It's got the multiplication direction change there, and the power shift and everything. And then the DRB seems to be the same as the DEG, except again without that multiplier keyboard. So I hope you enjoyed this little look at the evolution of the old line Marchants. These are some of my favorite machines. I really like the design of them, and I really like the overbuiltness of them, especially the electric ones with that huge induction motor on the back there. But yeah, I think that's about it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.